Hey, welcome. It's time for our February and March update. What did we accomplish in the month of February and March? Well, we accomplished a lot. Let's run through a few things just to jog your memory. What you're gonna do is, and I got my notes here too. Actually, looking at the channel title names. But what you're gonna do is you find something interesting, go back and rewatch it. Put your comments down below. What stood out to you in that lesson or that video so we can get a discussion going, so we can share. You know how I always say, don't be stingy. We're trying to make an online family, an online Habruta group. So let's do this. So in February, let's see here, we did 4 Torah Parshiot. We did Torah Parsha Bo, Beshalah, Yitro, and Mishpatim. So on Bo, Torah Parsha Bo, we talked about tithing. We talked about synagogues, going to synagogues. We talked about how Israel does their worship music, how they pray, if you will, how they praise, not pray, but how they praise. As you know, if you've been watching this channel and you're rocking with me, rocking with us, my particular background is Christian. So for me, I grew up in a quiet church, and so the praising sound like it wasn't as lively as some of the other places. So a lot of people in our class had questions for Rabbi Bernstein about what does it look like to praise Hashem, Israel style. So that's what we're talking about in that one. That's Torah Parsha Bo. We also we had a Torah Parsha Beshalach, and that was that's where we get the song at the sea. The song that's Israel sings in praise for Hashem helping them to cross the Red Sea and get away from Egypt, their enemy. Also, and that's Hebrew poetry. How does Hebrew poetry look? Also, because of the Hebrew poetry, we have a lot of times, we see, Rabbi Bernstein trained us, that a lot of times you'll see the term, I'll just use it just to get the point across, Yah, and use that name of Hashem. I'm not going to use that no more. But it can be used, but in praising or the poetry. And so you can read the Psalms and you'll see it all over there. And it's also in this Song at the Sea, or this poetry. We had Torah Parsha Yitro, where we looked at the 10 Devarim, or the 10 Commandments, the 10 sayings, which we understand are 10 categories, that each of the 613 is in one of those 10 categories. We also did Torah Parsha Mishpatim, where we saw there's 3 kinds of mitzvot, 3 types of commandments, 3 different styles. In that Torah Parsha, we also learned about the Mechilta, the Rabbi Ishmael, and we learned Rabbi Ishmael is from the house of Shammai. So when we're reading the Mechilta, we're actually reading the teachings and lectures of Shammai. So that's pretty cool. We did some Musar in February. We learned about weddings, how Israel views weddings, what it looks like to Israel, what it means, old age, how Israel thinks about old age. We also did how Israel thinks about death and mourning. And also, what does the Shabbat mean to Israel? What does it actually represent, or what are we supposed to do, or how are we supposed to understand what the Shabbat is? And you know, when you deal with Israel, you're dealing with in space and time and outside space and time. So many times the things that you're doing in space and time affect outside space and time. So what does that look like? What does that mean? And that's in the Musar section. So if any of those topics sound interesting to you, jump on over to the Musar section. You can check that out. And then we did Joshua. Oh, for the Torah Parshiot for February, we did Exodus chapter 20 through 24. And Joshua, we did chapters 10 through 13, and it was the battles in the land. And the different ways that those battles were handled. Also, extra, if you're interested in that, check out the Nevi'im series, and you'll find all the Joshuas there. And then extra, I had some Hayenus here. And I'm going to tell y'all hurting my feelings or saving me money. I can't figure out yet which one it is, but no one has taken me up on this offer for Hayenus. So I have a bunch of them, because you can't throw them away because Hashem's name is in them. because of the Torah. Hashem's name is in the Torah, so it doesn't literally say Hashem. It'll say actually the Tetragramma Megatron in there. So I don't want to throw these away, but I want to give them away. So we talked about the Hayinu and what's in the Hayinu. You can find that discussion in the playlist called Advertisements. Now for March, what do we do for March? Well, we did 5 parshiot. We did Terumah, Tetzaveh, Kitisa, Vayachel, and Pekudei. And for Terumah, we looked at the 3 colors of the Mishkan, that kind of bluish color, the purple color, and the scarlet color. And we looked at, we talked about idolatry in Christianity. What does that mean? Why do we have, like, what is that? How are we to understand that? And also, we did, I cannot read my writing on this. I had to look this one up. Let's see, Terumah. Come on, Terumah. Mishpati, Terumah. Idolatry, intercession, and the cross. What do these things mean? We also did Tetzaveh, where about why Israel wears the kippah and why it's a mitzvot. And did Hashem create religion? So you'll find that in Torah Parsha Tetzaveh. You also have Torah Parsha Kitisa, where we're describing the items in the temple. And we have Vayachel, where we meet Bezalel and his crew, and how they're given the spirit of wisdom to design and create the Mishkan according to the description of Hashem. And in Pekudei, we have the modern, we're talking about modern evangelical Christianity, and what that is now, how it's a far cry from what the original apostles were told to teach the world. Also, we have the question on how Israel anoints, what that means. And an interesting idea how the New Testament, or the Brit HaDashah, has a lot of midrash in it. And midrash is a tool used in Judaism to study a concept that can be difficult, and looking at it through maybe what we would know as parables or something of that sense, but trying to get an understanding by talking around it instead of saying this is that. So the New Testament, or the Brit HaDashah, actually has a lot of vehicles that's used in Judaism. Why? It's written by Jews, to understand some of the concepts that could be quite complex that Yeshua was teaching Israel at that time. And for our Musar, we did Purim. We looked at the holiday of Purim. We looked at what a Rosh Chodesh is, or a new moon, or a new month. What is a new month in Israel? What does that mean to Israel? And then also we had a Musar called Love of God. So what does it mean to have love for God? So if that sounds interesting to you, jump on over to the Musar playlist. If any of those Torah Parshiot sound interesting, what I just talked about earlier, you can jump on over to the Torah Parsha 5785. And we did Exodus chapter 25 through 30 on our Torah Parshiot. And we had Joshua 14. What did we do? Joshua 14 through 20, I believe, this month. And what are we doing? 20, yeah. Oh, actually, no. 17. I think 17. 14 through 17. Caleb fights for Hebron, which is part of Judah. And a lot of administrative tasks going into who gets what, figuring out what tribe doesn't have anything, who needs help, So these chapters are quite administrative. Now, for additional videos, you can catch Joshua in the Nevi'im playlist. And now for the additional things that we did during March, are you a Chabad Christian? Talking about being a Christian that uses many resources from Chabad. I go into the resources that I recommend, especially for a beginner for Chabad. You're not going there to relearn religion. You're going to Chabad to understand maybe a concept that is a little bit murky, especially in the Torah and things of that nature. You're not going there to restructure the Brit HaDashah, the New Testament. You're going there as a tool to help you, like how you would go to a dictionary and maybe look up a word and see the different synonyms and things of that nature. So as a Christian, you're not going there to restructure Christianity, which are the teachings of Jews that Yeshua said, show this to all nations, which are Judaism. You're not going there to restructure that. Also, I made a video on Duolingo showing that you can use Duolingo to help you on your journey for biblical Hebrew by just learning the letters. At least you can learn the letters. And if you're interested in moving a little bit further, you can start to learn modern Hebrew, and it will still help you in learning biblical Hebrew. And so that is what you have done for the month of March, and you should clap. This is not a proper siyum, but it's kind of a siyum of sorts. We didn't finish a book, but just be happy that you are step by step, shrit for shrit, you are learning more Torah, learning more about Musar, which is ethics. In Christianity, we are taught to really work on our conduct so that we can love our neighbor as ourselves and love Hashem. So these things, that's why we always include the Musar. And then we're in the book of Joshua, learning about the Nevi'im and what happened once everybody got out of the land, out of the wilderness and into the land. So you have done a lot. Applaud yourself, but also don't be lazy. Don't just sit here and listen to the videos. Put your comments down below on the videos that you listen to and write what you learned. Write what does that mean? When you're listening to a video, something stood out to you. Just write in the comments real quick what stood out to you. That is how you study, because in Judaism, you study together. You don't study alone. Studying alone is Greek way of thinking. You study together. It's the community where you learn. So we don't want to be doing things on our own and thinking, oh, we're going to get a spiritual download. No, your download comes from hearing what everybody else is saying about that same comment. So make sure when you watch these videos, go ahead and put a couple ideas that stood out to you. Even on this one, if something caught your attention for a video that you didn't watch, let me know. Don't have me hanging out here by myself. I'm able to tell you what I think and what caught my attention as we're going through it. So I want to hear the same from you. So I hope you enjoyed this catch-up session for what was done and accomplished in February and March, and be proud that you've learned that much more. It's a long journey. We're on this journey till we take our last breath. So don't think you got to learn all that Hebrew now. Don't think you got to learn every concept in Judaism. Don't even think you have to learn everything in Christianity or whatever. Or if you're a Noahide or whatever, and you're, one step at a time. One step at a time. So again, congratulations, and let's rock this April.